So Mark, Liz, it's a real pleasure to meet you for the first time and lovely to see your faces. And thanks for taking time to speak to us today. Just in case, perhaps like me, there are one or two folk in church who don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about what your connection to Willowfield Parish Church?
Yep, and Susadai to everybody. Hello. Liz and I, we moved to Willowfield Parish Church about 15 years ago. We had always been Anglican, but we were looking for somewhere that we really felt God was wanting us to get somewhere we could get stuck in and do more, if that makes sense. And he very much led us to Willowfield. That's another 10-minute story for some other time. It really was life-changing for us and for our family. We're hugely blessed in that we have 2 sons and a daughter-in-law, all of whom have accepted Christ as their Savior, and that's a blessing beyond anything else. About 13 years ago, I went to a men's breakfast that was organised. The men's breakfast were organised by Alan back then, Alan Higgins, and that was another big life changer. To cut the long story short, God really led the situations on our hearts about everything in Cambodia at the time in a way that nothing else had touched us to the degree that I couldn't even think about what I wanted to eat for lunch because I couldn't get out of my head what was happening. That kind of crazy thing, which at nearly 50 years of age was not something I expected. The passion that he put in our hearts led us to support the work out here and then move into bringing out mission trips, short-term mission trips, but very much not us moving to the mission field. As Liz would have said before, missionaries were these weird people who turned up and told you about life in strange countries. But everything changed for us at Sligo, New Wine Sligo in 2015, when on the same evening, but separately, God very clearly said to Liz and myself, hey, you guys are going to move to Cambodia, to which my immediate reaction was, are you mad? But I'll let you pick up there. I'll let you pick up from Sligo.
Yeah, Sligo 15 was very pivotal for us in God speaking to us, as Mark said, separately. In that I was in a completely different place within the village in Sligo when Mark was sending me a text saying, I think we're going long term, and at the same time that I was sending him a text saying, I think we're going long term. I had a condition, a chronic disease for a lot of years that plagued me. And I prayed and went up for prayer a lot that God would heal me. But during Sligo, it was like my prayers changed. And I said to him, I can't go like this. If you want me to go, you're going to have to do something. And he did. He healed me that night. And that was the start of the preparation for us coming out here. And we eventually got here in April 2018.
So you're in Cambodia. You're working under the umbrella of Eggshell Cambodia. Again, what is it? What do you do?
Okay, well, I'll start by telling you why Eggshell was called Eggshell. Because we felt God say that a chick is protected in an egg until it's ready to be released and set free. And we felt this is what God was saying about the children that we look after. Our primary ethos is to look after vulnerable, at-risk children, 0 to 5 years old, who are at high risk of labour, sexual exploitation. Some of them come from homes that are very dysfunctional, so there's a lot of drug and alcohol involved. And that makes them very, very vulnerable to all the temptations that are in this place called Cambodia. We try to employ people from the village. So when we took on our staff, we were looking for people to train up. So these are people who have very low education, but can look after children because Khmer people, most women are married by 17, and what they do is bring children up. They don't necessarily know the good ways to bring them up. So we bring people in from the village and we teach them how to look after children. So the vast majority of our staff are actually from the village. We also try to support the village by supplies. We buy all our food and our purchases from the village to try and help the little market traders that are there, to give them a little bit of money, because it is an extremely poor village that we work in. We also give practical help where it can be needed. Some of these families, and one in particular, didn't even have a back wall in their house. So there was 9 children sleeping in a house that didn't have a back wall. So where we see a basic need like that, and we're able to help outside of our ethos, God has asked us to be his hands and feet. So we try to help where we can. And many people, like donors, have given us special support to be able to do those sorts of things. And then especially during COVID, the village was hit very, very hard. We have a lot of garment workers there who don't earn a lot of money, but they were laid off. Some of the women that work in the village collect plastic and tin, and they used to get something like 40 cents a day for a 10 kilogram bag, and now they're getting 4 cents for the same amount. So they were getting hungry. The children were looking thinner. So we have been providing over the 2 years food packs for people in the village most at need, and also the outlying villages as well, where people were coming to us and saying they really could do with some help. So I think what we're saying is that we do what we can and what God tells us to do. And we feel this is what Eggshell is expanding into, as well as just looking after our children.
I know there have been recent developments with respect to your buildings. Tell us a little bit about
that. Again, try and give you the short version again. It's so much of this, including even what I was said about us and our journey and our life through Willowfield and everything. God has very much over the last year kept giving us Proverbs 16:9, which is the verse about, man can make his plans, but God determines his steps. And it seems to be that we just continually hugely underestimate him. Either he ambushes us and takes us, all of us, in a direction we never imagined, or our plans just get hijacked. So for somebody who's very task orientated, as Liz can attest, that drives me insane, because I plan. But I mean, obviously through conversation with our own board back there and everything in sort of 2019, we had a lot of plans before COVID to try and expand in very much in 2020 and increase our capacity, because the building we were in limited us to do more than about 10 children. That was a physical limitation. So we'd worked away on those plans, and even amazingly through COVID, God just kept providing and providing and providing. And a bit like the formation of the charity, just things kept accelerating more and more and more. So we really came into between Easter and the summer, even despite all the COVID stuff of this year, really on course to build within the compound, within the site that the Anglican Church out here were allowing us to use. Which would have taken us to maybe somewhere around 20 to 30 children tops, but a good expansion within the village. Literally at the 11th hour, God just pulled the rug out from under all that. And in the past, we would have collapsed under that. But he's taught us very quickly to go, hey, okay, you must have a better idea.
Yeah.
And again, we could spend 15 minutes on it, but literally within 2 days, he had shown us the second biggest building in the village, which we'd never even noticed existed before. And within a matter of about 3 weeks, he had opened the door to us renting that building. It was about 90 to 95% complete. So again, God just provided the funding, and it's all complete. We actually got the keys and cut the ribbon on it on Wednesday there.
Oh, wow.
Now, we still can't have kids back yet. They've vaccinated down to 5-year-olds here, amazingly. And they're asking daycares and nurseries not to bring kids in until they're vaccinated. So we're hoping, please pray, that that's going to be very quick. Yeah. But the short version again, we have ended up in this fantastic, just trimmed out building that realistically should allow us to have 50 to 60 children.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Now what we actually do within that, I'll let Liz pick up on again.
you know, God is amazing in that he provided this building. It was being built for something he would not have been happy for it to be used for. It was almost like God closed the door in one building to enable us to stop what was happening in this other building. So we are going to go now from 10 children up to 40, 50 children. We have the capacity now to be able to expand way beyond what we thought. But God, as I said, has a bigger plan for that. And although it's very scary, the fact that we're going to have a massive amount of children in there, we know that that God's favour is in that building now. He has blessed it, and that he will use it for his good. We're also going to do a Bible study, and our operation manager at the moment, so Kane, is very keen to live within the village, and she's going to be our hands and feet there when we are not in the village. So she's very keen to open a Bible study, and there are already, I think, 6 or 7 women who are interested in coming along to that. So our outreach will then expand from what we do during the day to being able to use that building for other things in the evening. She also would maybe like to take some of the after school programs and bring children in to learn extra English. So God's ideas are expanding on the use of what we can use this building for, and it's all for him. And we just can't wait to see what God's plan unfolds and how that happens in the next few years for daycare.
Well, are there specific things that we as a church family can be praying for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously from January onwards, we're going to, as long as we're open, start to recruit our new children. So we are asking for prayer that God helps us select the right children and the ones that are most in need of help. We do a very rigid procedure around all of that, but we just want to make sure that we select the right children, and also that we get the right employees from within the village who are willing to learn. We don't expect them to be Christian when they come to us, because it's 95% Buddhist here at the moment. But through what they learn and through what we teach them about the Bible, and you know, we are trying to bring them alongside and to know Jesus as well, so that he selects and helps us select the right people to come onto our staff. For our provision, you know, we have a lot more children now. There's a lot more provision needed to run this. And as the daycare advisor, program director, I am always praying on my knees that we will have enough to keep these vulnerable children safe. So God's provision in all of that, for him to continue to use Mark and I in the way that he wants to use us. And also to enable the Khmer Christians that we work with to come on board and learn from us. And then for us to get back and see family. As I said, my dad died in April, and I haven't been back to see my brothers, and also to see Craig and our grandchildren. And every time we think the doors are opening for that, COVID seems to have them closed again. So we're hoping to get back with restrictions lifting as well, hopefully in the next 6 to 7 months. So if they would pray around that. Yeah, and I think that's all I can think of.
I think for me, I mean, obviously all of the above, and I think for provision, for God's ongoing blessing and spirit, in all the areas that Liz talked about, plus I suppose the personal ones. You know, it's a different culture, it's a different climate, it's a different language. Just you spend half your time absolutely loving this country and loving this place, as those who have been out in the mission team will attest. But you also spend half your time just chewing your knuckles because of the silly little frustrations that just seem so ridiculous to us. I would like to thank and pray for the 6368 challenge, and that example. I think it's an example to all of us. It's an example to us of the love and the provision and the support and the care and all of those things that there are back there for us. But it's also a wonderful example for the people back there as to how God steps up into these things. I mean, before we came out here, we had no intentions of long-term mission, but God blessed us with being able to encourage and build up and edify and provide funding and spread the word about all sorts of things that were going on here and elsewhere. So we're all key cogs in that machine. We're all key to all of these things. So I think pray for those who haven't yet been called to the mission field, pray for those who might want to come out in a short-term mission. We love organising 2-week trips to here, and we have a lot of practice at doing that. And particularly for those who don't feel called to the mission field, for them to find ways of spreading the story of whatever God puts on their heart, be it us or somebody else, and encourage it and fundraise and pray. Praise the most important thing, obviously. And for all of us just to have, more and more of God's Holy Spirit, his words, his prayers, his health, his wisdom, his discernment, provision, all of these things to allow us to continue to spread the good news of his sacrifice, his incredible love, be it the mission field out here or the mission field in Willowfield Parish. To just spread that about his gift of redemption, forgiveness, and just love that's available to all humanity. It's there for the graceful, loving taking. We just need to step up and do it.
Thank you. Just chat for hours about all of this sort of stuff. But thanks for your time today. The Lord bless you both, and we'll be really excited to see you in the flesh at Willowfield, God willing, 2022.
Yeah.
Take care.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Sharon,
Bye.
Bye.